My beloved child, when the gentle light of dawn touches the sky, it is also the reflection of a spiritual moment. You are about to enter the moment when I, the one who holds your destiny in the palm of my hand, steps back for a time so that you may face your own heart. Do not be afraid. Do not think that I have abandoned you. I will never leave you stranded in the wilderness. I am giving you what only those who have matured in faith can truly understand: the freedom of the soul, the kind of light that no one can grant except me. From the beginning, when I spoke, "Let there be light," the universe responded. But when I spoke to humanity, I did not only give light to their eyes, I entrusted their souls with the power to choose me or to choose themselves, and today you are living in that very moment. I step back not because I have gone away, but so that you may see what my strong presence sometimes veils the true nature of your own being. You have felt me so near that even a whisper drew my answer. You have witnessed miracles, seen my protection rise when storms broke. You have heard me in dreams, in tears, in the quiet comfort no one could explain. Yet now you are entering another season, one in which I do not speak, do not direct, do not perform instant wonders. Not because you have done wrong, but because you have grown to the point where you must learn to hear my voice in the silence. I know the silence unsettles you. You are used to my voice echoing in your mind, to the warmth like a cloak of grace wrapped around you. Now, as the heavy mist of trial descends, you feel lost. But remember, when I am silent, I am not absent. My silence is respect for your soul, like a father who steps back so that his child may walk, stumble, and rise on their own feet. For true love does not bind with cords of control, but with the bond of trust. In that stillness you will hear many other voices. They are not mine. They come from the world, from fear, from the lies ingrained in humanity's blood. They will whisper, "You've been abandoned. Your God has turned his back. No one hears you anymore." But be quieter than they are. Sit down, breathe, and feel the beating of your own heart. It is there that I am still speaking, not in words, but in a hidden presence, in the life force still sustaining you. I have already said I will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 3:1-6. And that promise has never been withdrawn. You do not need to see a sign to believe. For true faith is forged not when the sky blazes with light, but when the heavens stand still. It is in the silence that you learn the lesson of unconditional trust, the kind of faith that does not depend on feeling, but on knowing. Even when I cannot feel him, he is still there. I know that my silence makes you want to flee. You long to hear a voice, a miracle, a confirmation that I am still with you. But if I always spoke, you would never learn to recognize me with your soul. Just as a child cannot learn to walk if the parents constantly carry them. So I step back not far, only just enough for you to discover the power of yourself within me. You will notice this: when I do not speak, your own soul begins to speak. It will question, struggle, seek. And in that seeking, you will stumble into the dark corners of yourself, things you have never dared to look at directly. The freedom I give is not only the ability to choose between good and evil, but the ability to face yourself without fear. Within that is darkness, but also seeds of light. When you accept to look at yourself, you will see my image reflected there. This world loves noise, craves color, revels in the clamor of what is easily seen. But I do not appear in the midst of chaos. I come in the breath, in the gentle wind, in a truthful glance, in the tear of a broken soul. You must learn to recognize me in these small things. It is there that you will understand that I never abandon you. I only withdraw, so that you may see that you carry me within your heart. Whenever I am silent, the heavens still move. Angels are still at work. Life continues to be orchestrated around you. I only want you not to rush to think that silence means the end. No, silence is the beginning. It is where the seed of faith sprouts, where the will is tested, where unspoken prayers are woven into strength. There you learn what great miracles cannot teach perseverance. How many times have I held you when you fell? How many times have I stopped the storm before it touched your roof? How many times have I eased your pain even before you prayed? Now I do not stop the storm, not because I cannot, but because I want you to know that you too carry that power. I want you to learn to say to the storm, "Be still," and it will obey you because you speak with my authority. O trembling soul, do not see my silence as punishment. See it as a sacred distance where I and you look at each other through the mirror of faith. That distance is not long, but it is enough for you to walk without my hand holding yours. Enough for you to recognize that you are no longer a child needing signs to believe. You have become a warrior who believes without seeing, who loves without hearing, who walks without knowing the path. Let me say this, my child. My silence is the language of faith. When I am quiet, it is a test of your courage. Not for me to know whether you love me, I already know, but for you to know how deeply you love me. When you still choose to trust even when heaven and earth are silent, when you still walk though the path is unclear, when you still worship even as tears fall, that is when I am most glorified. Do not seek me in comfort, seek me in truth. Do not expect me to always speak. Expect to hear your own soul respond. True love does not need noise. True love only needs the certainty that he is there even if he does not speak. And when you realize this, when you stop chasing the echoes of the world, you will hear the gentle resonance of heaven singing within you, a song not from outside, but from the very breath of life that I have placed within you. I am here in every moment you think is empty. I am in every silence you think is abandonment. I am teaching you to hear with the heart, to see with faith, and to love with willingness. Be still, my child, and know that I am God. Psalm, my beloved. Now as the clamor has faded and the echoes of the world recede, you stand in a vast room with windows open to the sunrise. This room is called silence. Do not mistake it. It is not a meaningless void nor a cold abyss. It is the school of the soul where mature children are trained to know me, not merely to know about me. God says, I do not give silence to abandon, but to shape, not to punish, but to empower. And today I will give you the key to open the door of this classroom. In silence you learn the lesson of breath. My rhythm is not hurried like the marketplace. I work according to the pace of a seed quietly sprouting in the soil. In the dark, the seed does not hear drums, nor see flags waving, yet it grows because it carries the command of life. Likewise, when you do not hear my voice loudly, when signs do not appear on your schedule, remember that the command of life is already placed within your soul. They are activated not by clamor, but by stillness. Be still, and know that I am God is not a call to withdraw from life, but a skill for living within it, to stand firm amidst the storm, because you know the anchor of your soul. Silence is a gift of training. It reveals what noise once concealed: the habit of clinging to immediate feelings, the constant need for affirmation, the fear of being forgotten, the thirst for control. When the trumpet of miracles no longer sounds, you see clearly the portrait of faith within yourself. Faith lived through, knowing not through wavering. The world teaches you to startle at lights. I teach you to close your eyes to see clearly. Do not flee from silence. Sit down, place your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat. That heartbeat is the small hymn still echoing even while the city sleeps. In that rhythm I am speaking, I am here. My child, silence is also the filter of wisdom. When the noisy music quiets, you will hear unpleasant sounds, self-reproach, whispers of doubt, grim scenarios imagined by the mind. Do not rush to suppress them with entertainment or busyness. Engage them with truth. Ask, is this voice bringing peace in harmony with the word sown within me, or is it only a disguised smoke? You will be surprised to see many fears dissolve like dew simply because you dared to name them in the light. Silence teaches discernment. Not everything pleasant is true, and not everything stressful is false. Truth sometimes pierces because it cuts old bonds. Falsehood sometimes soothes because it lulls you away from responsibility. I give silence so that you may find your center. Imagine a great spinning wheel. If you stand at the edge, each rotation pulls you dizzy. But if you stand at the center, all movement becomes orderly. Your center is my presence. When you return to that focal point, even the most alluring calls cannot uproot you. You will learn to see the world with depth, dazzling things. No longer overwhelm noisy successes. No longer intoxicate temporary failures. No longer define you. This is true freedom, not controlled by cheers or whistles, but moving according to the invisible conductor, guiding from within. In the classroom of silence, I teach you the art of waiting. Waiting is not idle. It is the discipline of hope. Hope is not blind optimism. It is the memory of faith, remembering who I am, remembering what I have done, remembering the words I have spoken. When you remember, you anchor yourself in the unchanging. When you forget, you drift with the tides of emotion. Therefore, in silence, repeat what is true. He has been faithful to me. He will remain faithful. Each repetition drives the anchor deeper into the rock, and you find peace whether the sea is calm or storm-tossed. Some ask, how do I know this is your voice or mine, my child? Silence reveals the tone. My voice carries light and order. It clarifies, never confuses. It is humble, never proud. It urges you to move, yet not in panic. Other voices stir, exaggerate, awaken fear, or pamper the ego. In silence, pass each whisper through 3 gates: truth, goodness, beauty. If it increases your love for truth, leads you toward what is good for others, and moves your soul toward the beauty of holiness that is my sign. If it encourages hiding division, boasting, or numbs compassion, that is not me. Silence is the laboratory where every word is tested by fire. My child, learn the art of stillness before speaking. Hasty words are like arrows released from a bow. Once loose, they do not return. In silence, taste words. Before they leave your lips, do they carry the salt of wisdom, the sweetness of kindness, the sting of timely truth? Or are they a rushed meal burning the throat of the listener? Silence does not destroy words. It refines them so that your words become seeds, not sparks. I also use silence as a mirror for your motives. Good deeds can originate from dark roots, if born of pride or fear of rejection. In silence, ask, am I doing this to be seen, or because I have been seen by you? Do I serve to fill a void, or because I am already full? These questions are not for judgment, but for liberation. When motives are pure, hands move lightly. When motives are tangled, shoulders bear burdens. Silence relieves your load, so that you act from love, not from the slavery of praise. Silence is also the recovery room after battle. You cannot charge forward continuously without time to bandage the soul. Fragments of disappointment, cuts from misunderstanding, bruises from unmet expectations, all need gentle light and soft warmth to heal. I place you in my quiet hand. There I remove the arrows, cleanse the wounds bandaged with promises. People think silence means stopping. I call silence the prelude to the next step. Without pause, perseverance cannot grow. To let silence become your teacher, adopt simple discipline. Fixed moments like morning and evening offerings. Dedicate regular minutes to me. Not hours, but faithful minutes. Better little and steady than much and intermittent. Marked space choose. A small corner, a chair, a candle. When you sit there, your body signals to your soul, it is time for silence. Conscious breath. Inhale, whisper, you are here. Exhale, say softly, I surrender. The rhythm of breathing becomes a slow prayer drawing you out of the whirlwind. Short reminders, a single scripture as an anchor. Do not let a restless mind scatter. Cling to it, chew it over until it sweetens. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. Psalm 2:3-1, one verse yet enough to sustain the day. Small journal, after silence. Jot a line what you realized, what to release, what words to act on today. These lines become footprints, showing your journey from desert to garden. Silence also unmasks temptation. When noise is absent, you hear the sweet allure of shortcuts, cheap glory, easy detours, comfort without the cross. Recognize them by their scent, always urgent, promising instant recognition, soothing with empty promises. My call smells of endurance, discipline, quiet joy. Silence sharpens your spiritual nose, so you can discern the fragrance of truth. In silence, you learn to place burdens in my hands. Some matters cannot be fully analyzed or solved. Do not let your mind drag you into a self-spinning maze. Lay the load before me and name each thing. This is my anxiety. This is my guilt. This is my unspoken dream. Naming removes the power of hidden weight. I lift it and exchange for peace instead of confusion, clarity instead of chaos, courage instead of contraction. God says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened." Silence is the doorway to that invitation. Do not measure the value of silence by how you feel afterward. Some days you leave the quiet room with gentle tears, some days with clear joy, and some days dry. Do not rush to conclude. Nothing happened. Dry days are when roots grow deep. People judge a tree by its leaves. I judge it by its roots. Silence nurtures the roots. Deep roots sustain branches when the winds change. Silence also teaches vigilance, not to suspect others, but to remain alert to subtle currents. When a strange idea arrives, you touch it with truth. When excessive praise comes, you smile and return glory. When offense strikes, you place it down before it burns your chest. Practice long enough and you develop holy reflexes. Do not swallow what scorches your spiritual palate. Do not spit what leaves the soil barren. This is the inner hygiene that silence teaches daily. Do not forget, silence is never empty. When human voices fade, the heavenly court becomes louder. There are silent movements I perform when you remain still, aligning people to cross your path, shifting doors at the right moment, unlocking ideas you have not yet grasped. You think you do nothing. In truth, you cooperate with me by not obstructing. Those who insist on driving themselves grow weary. Those who sit in silence are carried to the appointed place. Silence transforms you into a sign. People meet you and say, "There is something still there, yet not cold, gentle, yet not weak." That is the face of peace I paint on you with the colors of silence. Peace cannot be bought or feigned. It grows from faithful quiet. It precedes you like fragrance stands beside you, like a friend follows you like footprints, so that anyone who enters knows heaven has arrived here. Receive this gift with open hands. Do not fear the quiet. Enter as a student, eager to learn as a craftsman, sharpening a blade before harvest as a soldier, sitting still to hear strategy from the commander. From the room of silence you will step out with clear eyes, warm heart, steady steps. You will no longer be intoxicated by fireworks. You will love a steady lamp. You will no longer count praise. You will remain faithful to the word. And when the cacophony of the world strikes again, you will smile, because you have learned to hear deeper the harmony of the kingdom vibrating within yourself. I am here in the silence. I wait for you there each day like the sun waits for the horizon to rise. Come, sit down, inhale with trust, exhale with surrender. Then you will understand why I say silence is not retreat, it is a beginning. And from that beginning I will guide you through every turn ahead, not with the roar of thunder, but with a whisper strong enough to calm the storm within your heart. My beloved, when I let silence envelop you, do not quickly assume it is an empty void. On the contrary, it is in that stillness that the heavens whisper in a language without sound, a language only humble and steadfast souls can comprehend. Silence is not the absence of voice. It is where every voice is refined until only one remains, the voice of truth. And to hear it, you must learn to be still within. You have asked, Lord, why are you silent when I cry out? But if you listen more deeply, you will see that I am not silent. I am speaking on a different frequency, not for the ears, but for the soul. When life's storms rage, my voice remains hidden in the pauses. I do not shout, for love does not need to prove itself through noise. I whisper, so that you must come closer, seek deeper, desire more. Do you remember when Elijah hid in the cave, seeking me in the strong wind, the earthquake, and the fire? But I was not in any of these. I came in the gentle whisper, 1 Kings 1:9-1-2. Likewise, my child, I do not wish you to find me in clamor, but in the quiet of a waiting heart. For only those who learn stillness can hear the footsteps of heaven drawing near. Some believe silence is distance. In truth, it is the time for love to be proven. When I do not speak, do you still trust? When I do not touch, do you still pray? When I leave no visible sign, do you still kneel in faith? In these moments your faith becomes most alive, not mere words of confession, but conscious choice. I remain silent not because I turn away, but because I want you to realize that true love requires no constant affirmation. It lives by trust. My child, have you ever realized that my silence is an invitation to spiritual maturity? When you were small, I responded to every cry. I was like a father carrying a small child ready to protect. But now I want you to learn to walk. My love never fades, but the way I express it changes. I want you to grow strong. If I always carried you, your feet would never learn to stand firm amid storms. The world teaches you that silence is indifference. But in the kingdom of heaven, silence is the language of absolute trust. When I am silent, you are still within my plan. When you see every door closed, I am in fact opening a new path within you. When you no longer hear me, I am still speaking to my angels to prepare the way ahead. Quiet is never absent. It is the pause in the divine symphony where a new melody is about to rise. Look up at the night sky. When the sun disappears, the light does not die, it hides, teaching you to see with faith. Only in the night do the stars shine. Likewise, in the darkness of silence, rays of revelation appear. If you only praise me on sunny days, how will you know that I am also the God of the night? I allow silence because I want to train the discernment within you. I want you to hear not just with your ears, but with your spirit. As you walk in darkness, remember that every step is still guided by my light, not the light outside, but the light I placed within your heart. It is small, yet enough to illuminate each step. That is why the darkness cannot consume you. Have you ever wondered why I do not speak immediately when you cry out? Because sometimes I want your cry to become a true prayer, not just a reaction. Pain may make you shout, but only faith makes you remain still and wait. In waiting, your soul is purified from selfish demands and learns to say, Lord, not my will, but yours. When you reach this point, silence is no longer frightening. It becomes an intimate meeting place between you and me. I have heard your sobs in the long night. I see your desire to understand, to know the reason. But remember, not everything I do is explained. Some mysteries are kept not to confuse you, but to teach reverence for the holiness of silence. Silence is also my way of saying, you do not need to know everything, only that I hold all things. True faith does not require a map. Faith needs only one thing, to know that I am leading the way. When you no longer hear me, do not stop. Keep walking, for silence is not the end, it is the ellipsis of faith. I am silent so that you may speak. I step back so that you may advance. I hide so that you may discover that I have never left. Many seek me only in miracles, but my child, the greatest miracle is not the parting of the Red Sea, it is your heart still believing when the heavens are silent. I desire your love to grow so vast that it needs no proof, no sign, no reward. When you can say, even if you do not speak, I still trust you, that is when you have grasped the deepest truth of the kingdom of heaven. Silence is the song of mature souls. Look back on your life, my child. Were the times of my silence also the moments of your greatest transformation, when you thought I did nothing, I was doing everything? When you did not hear my voice, I was teaching your ears to discern between the true and the false. When you could not see my hand, I was placing it gently on your back more tenderly than ever. This is how I train spiritual warriors, not with thunderous sound, but with spaces in which faith can sprout. And when that seed of faith grows, you will understand that my silence is never indifference. It is my way of teaching you to be a true companion, not a child who only demands, but a friend of heaven, who can empathize, who can love without expectation. When you reach that place, you will no longer fear the darkness, for you will know that true light is not outside, but within your heart. My child, my silence is the testing ground of the soul. Whoever knows how to remain still and still trust has touched the essence of the kingdom. Let these words sink deeply into your heart. For one day when I speak again, you will see that every moment of silence carries meaning. It wove the strength, perseverance, and depth you would need for the days ahead. Silence is not a sign of an ending. It is an invitation to enter a new level of faith where you no longer need proof to believe, but believe because you know the one you love. Then the voice of heaven will resonate, not through your ears, but through the peace within your heart, a peace that surpasses all understanding. Take this quiet, my child, as you would my hand. Do not seek to break it. Live in it, breathe it, learn from it. For in silence you will hear what the world can never hear, the eternal voice whispering your name. My beloved, from the beginning when I said, "Let us make humankind in our image," I did not merely give humanity form and intellect. I bestowed a treasure that even the angels do not fully possess: free will. It is a precious jewel placed in the heart of your soul, a sacred crown, testifying that you are not a controlled being, but my partner in creation. No power in heaven, on earth, or in darkness can take it from you unless you voluntarily surrender it to falsehood. Free will is the evidence of true love. Love cannot be coerced. If I wanted obedience like a machine, I could have created you like the angels, beings that only follow commands. But I did not. I want you to choose me with a free heart, not out of fear, nor for reward. Love is meaningful only when chosen willingly. Therefore, I give you the power of choice, the power to build or destroy, to step into light or sink into darkness. You once asked, "Why does God not prevent me from making mistakes?" And I smiled. For if I took away your capacity to err, I would also take away your capacity to love. Without freedom, there is no responsibility. Without responsibility, no maturity. Without maturity, no true communion. A soul without freedom is an empty vessel, incapable of holding love. Freedom is the soil in which faith takes root, where will becomes action, and where maturity is born. Understand, this freedom is not merely the right to do as you wish, but the ability to choose what is right even when it is painful. Many misunderstand freedom as being unbound, but true freedom is the wisdom to bind yourself to the highest good, to truth, justice, and love. When you voluntarily bind yourself to my will, you do not lose freedom, you perfect it. In me, freedom is not limited, it is exalted. Yet, my child, with this gift comes great responsibility. Free will is a lamp that, if not properly tended, can burn backward, and consume the one who holds it. Every choice you make, even the smallest, creates vibrations in the unseen realm. A selfish thought can seed a world of suffering. An act of love can illuminate millions of souls. The universe operates by resonance. What you sow, you will reap. What you choose, you become. No one is judged for ignorance, but every soul is measured by the choices it makes when it knows. When you choose light, you work with heaven. When you choose darkness, you build a wall between me and yourself. But do not fear, I do not abandon the lost. Freedom does not distance me, it makes me more patient. For I know that one day you will realize that no freedom exists apart from my love. The world says, do what makes you happy. But I say, do what makes your soul live. Happiness comes and goes, but life in me is eternal. Look around this world. People call it an age of freedom, yet it is truly an age of invisible chains. They think themselves free when following desire, yet are bound by ambition, fear, and unseen voices that control them. They shop because they are urged, speak to be heard, love out of fear of loneliness, and leave to avoid pain. This is not freedom, but slavery in the guise of choice. True freedom is not the ability to do everything. It is the power to refuse what should not be done. True freedom is when you can say no even when everyone else says yes. True freedom is when you dare to choose silence amidst the clamor. True freedom is standing alone yet remaining at peace, knowing I stand beside you. When you pause in the torrent of the world, that is when you enter sacred freedom. When you dare to say yes to my will even when it breaks your heart, that is when you wear the crown of the holy. Remember, free will is the most powerful instrument I have placed in your hands. It is stronger than any magic, deeper than any curse, higher than any earthly authority. No force of darkness can compel your soul if you do not allow it. The enemy trembles before those who know how to wield their will to say no to falsehood and yes to truth. A soul free in me can shake the very gates of hell, for it understands that freedom is the power to choose the light. I say I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Therefore choose life. Deuteronomy 3:0-1-9, an invitation that never grows old. Each day you are placed at a crossroads, the easy but shallow path, or the hard path filled with blessings. The world promises instant glory only to drain the soul. I promise no comfort, I promise meaning. And you will find that such meaning is enough to endure every trial while keeping peace within. Child freedom is also a test of love. When I do not force you to choose what is right, I trust that you are capable of doing so yourself. My love does not bind with fear, but invites with trust. Each time you choose goodness in secret, heaven rejoices. Each time you forgive instead of resent, the angels record it as victory. Each time you exercise patience rather than retaliation, you triumph over yourself, and I, the Creator, see my glory reflected in you. True freedom requires maturity. It is not for weak souls, for to live freely you must bear the consequences of your choices. You must face mistakes, correct them, and begin anew. Yet this is why I love you so dearly, for I see this potential in you. Each time you fall, you learn a part of wisdom. Each time you rise, you engrave my image deeper within yourself. No failure is meaningless if it leads you back to the truth. Some say freedom leads humans astray, but I say no, freedom makes humans more like me. For I did not create slaves, I created companions. If you live in fear, you cannot love fully. But when you dare to live in freedom, love becomes your natural breath. Then you need no law to live righteously, for love itself becomes your law. Be courageous to walk in the freedom I have given, but remember, freedom is not a smooth road. It is sacred ground where every choice carries eternal weight. Do not fear this, cherish it. Only when you recognize the value of each decision can you live worthy of the heavenly image you bear. Do not forget, your free will can change destinies. A small yes today can open a harvest of countless blessings. A quiet act of obedience can move the heavens. I saw this in Abraham when he said yes and left his homeland. I saw it in Mary when she said yes to the angel. And I desire to see it in you, not because I need it, but because you were born to choose the noble path. Beloved child, treasure the gift of choice as you would your very breath. Do not use it for ease. Use it to affirm the truth of your soul. When you say yes to my will, you restore the order of the universe, where humanity and heaven align. When you choose love, forgiveness, faithfulness, you do deeds that the heavens joyfully witness. You are not merely one saved, you are one entrusted to shine. I tell you today, with the love of the one who created all things, do not fear freedom. Learn to carry it as a crown, not a burden. For only souls who use freedom to choose good truly deserve the title Children of God. I watch over every decision you make, not to judge, but to applaud when you choose the light. For each time you choose, me heaven sings. This one understands love cannot be forced, but it can be chosen, and in that choice, their soul is truly free. Beloved, as the light of freedom begins to shine, darkness will seek to strangle it. Every soul entrusted with choice will undergo a season of testing where temptation wears the guise of good and darkness masquerades as dawn. I want you to know that the crossroads is not just a biblical image. It is the reality of every heart. Each day, each hour, you stand between two voices, one from me, gentle, patient, true, one from the world, dazzling, urgent, filled with hollow promises. At that intersection, your soul is tested like gold. I have set before you life and death. Therefore, choose life that you and your descendants may live. Deuteronomy 3:0-19. The path of life is not lit by glittering lights. It has no grand signposts, no cheering crowds. It is quiet, narrow, sometimes rough, but it leads straight to peace. Meanwhile, the other path, loud, crowded, adorned with pleasures and promises of fame, leads to a parched soul. The question is not whether you know the truth, but whether you have the courage to choose what is right when wrong is easier. I know you, O listening soul. I know there are moments you long to trust me. Yet another whisper tempts you like a familiar song. It says you deserve more. You can take the shorter path. It's okay just this once. Temptation does not always appear as obvious sin. It approaches with a reasonable voice, warm eyes, and sweet promises. It stirs in you the desire to be recognized, to be loved, to be free in your own way. But what it does not tell you is each time you follow it, a small part of your soul is eroded. Temptation is not sin. It is the threshold of choice. No one can avoid it, not even my Son the Redeemer walked past it. In the desert, when he hungered, the enemy came and said, "If you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread." Matthew 4:3. This was the temptation of ease. Then it led him to the pinnacle of the temple, saying, "Throw yourself down, for angels will keep you," the temptation of instant glory. Finally, it promised him all the kingdoms of the world if he would bow and worship temptation of power without the cross. But my Son answered, "You shall not test the Lord your God." The same applies to you. Each time you stand at the crossroads between my call and the world's lure, it is a spiritual battle. The enemy cannot seize your soul by force, but it can make you open the door yourself. It knows what you love, what you fear, what you desire, and it uses these to weave its trap. It will speak in the voice of reason, cloaked in the garb of half-truth. It may quote my word, yet twist its meaning. It may give you the sense of freedom while binding you with the invisible chains of compromise. Child, temptation does not come to defeat you. It comes to reveal whom you trust. When you are pulled between two forces, I do not watch how perfect you are. I watch how faithful you are. Temptation is a mirror. It does not create evil. It reveals what is already dormant in the heart. And if you see darkness in yourself, do not fear. That is an opportunity to bring it into the light. No wound is healed in darkness. When you dare to say, Lord, I am weak, that is when I begin to make you strong. Know that temptation always promises what it cannot deliver. It says you will find joy, yet leaves emptiness. It promises freedom, yet binds you with regret. It promises love, yet that love dissipates like smoke. Do not let false promises make you forget my true promise that I will grant you a peace no one can steal. That peace is not the absence of suffering, but my presence within it. I do not want you to fear falling. I only want you to know how to rise. A true warrior is not one who has never stumbled, but one who always rises with the sword of faith in hand. Each time you say no to temptation, a portion of darkness within you is destroyed. Each time you say yes to the truth, the light within you expands. This battle is not to prove your worth to me, but to teach you the power I have placed within you. You do not fight alone. Angels surround you. The Holy Spirit reminds you, and yes, I am within you. Child, when I allow the world to sound many voices, it is not that I wish you lost, but that I want you to learn to hear the truth among many lies. My voice never pressures, never falters. It is gentle yet weighty. It carries peace, even when calling you into difficulty. The enemy's voice is hurried, anxious, full of emotion, yet empty. It does not give you time to think because it fears you will recognize the truth. When you feel pulled into hasty decisions, pause. Remember, I never force you to choose in fear. I say, the lamp of the body is the eye. If your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. Matthew 6:2-2. Your eyes are the windows of your soul. Be careful what you look upon, what you hear, what you allow your heart to be captivated by. For the enemy cannot break the door, it only knocks. You have the power to open or not to open. You have the power to guard the light in your heart as one guarding a treasure. Each time you refuse what is impure, you protect the temple of the Holy Spirit. Each time you choose truth, you lay a solid stone upon the foundation of faith. The world will laugh when you choose the narrow path. It will call you foolish when you forgive, weak when you are gentle, naive when you are faithful. But I say to you, you are not insane, you are saved. For what I call you to do is not for applause, but for liberation. Righteousness always has a cost, but its reward is eternal. When you choose what is right when wrong is praised, heaven writes your name upon the golden scroll of the faithful. Do not fear loss in me. Loss in me is never truly loss. When you release what does not belong to you, you create space to receive something greater. When you reject the temporary, you open the door for the eternal. When you endure hardship to uphold truth, you are positioned in a priceless blessing. Temptation wants you to look short-term, but I call you to look far toward rewards that do not rust, do not decay, do not vanish. When you are weary, when you stand at the crossroads, unsure which way to go, remember, I do not leave you alone. I am still there even when I am silent. I do not hold your hand because I want to see you use your own feet. Yet my eyes have never left you. I do not test you to see failure. I test you to awaken the hidden strength you never believed you had. Beloved, do not fear the call at the crossroads. Let it awaken in you the ability to choose love over fear, faith over doubt, forward movement over stagnation. Remember, I do not demand perfection. I demand faithfulness. And faithfulness begins with a daily choice, choosing to stand with the light, even if you can only see one small step ahead. Temptation has power only if you listen. Truth has power when you walk in it. You were not made to live between extremes. You were made to stand in the light. And though the world may shake, if your heart stands firm in me, no power can pull you from my hand. When you choose me at the crossroads, you do not merely choose the right path, you choose life itself. And as you step into the light, darkness holds no power. For a soul that has learned to choose by faith is a soul that cannot be held. My beloved child, if you have ever wondered why I gave you free will, a gift that could cause you to stray to err, even to rebel against me, then today I will tell you it is because I love you enough to bear the risk that love requires. True love does not imprison. It does not bind, impose, or control. True love gives the one it loves the right to choose, even when that choice may break the heart. And I, the Creator, have chosen to love you in that way, with a love both free and steadfast, with a trust that you will one day return no matter how far you wander. From before the foundation of the world, when I breathed the first breath into the lungs of humankind, I already knew man would rebel. I saw beforehand the fall, the betrayal, the tears of remorse, and the centuries of brokenness. Yet I still created. I still breathed life into Adam, for love does not calculate by probability. It believes, it hopes, and it endures all things. 1 Corinthians 1:3-7. Likewise, when I gave you free will, I knew there would be times you would use it to choose wrongly. But I also knew this: within you lies the seed of return, the imprint of my own image, deep within your soul. Freedom is the proof of love's reciprocity between you and me. For if I only desired obedience, I already have countless angels. But I desired a true relationship where love is answered by love, not by fear. I long to hear your yes, not because you are forced, but because you choose. When you choose me, though 1,000 doors call your name, heaven rejoices. For all the heavens understand that nothing is more precious than a soul that freely loves the one who loved it first. My child, my love is not an indulgent love. It is not a sentiment that pampers and keeps your soul forever small. It is a mature love, a love that knows when to hold and when to let go. When I hold you, it is to heal. When I let you go, it is so you may learn to walk. My love never changes, yet its form shifts according to your maturity. There are moments I step back, not because I am weary, but because I want you to learn to seek me with your own will, not driven by emotion, but by the knowledge that I am the one who never changes. There are times you cry and say, Lord, why do you leave me alone? And I whisper, I am standing right behind you. But I will not intrude until you turn around. For love does not violate. Love waits. I wait until you realize that all you chase after cannot fill the emptiness I placed within you. You may fill your mind with knowledge, your hands with possessions, your bed with companions, but you will never fill your heart with anything but me. For I am the beginning and the destination of your soul. My love and your freedom are not opposites. They are intertwined like two sides of one flame. Love compels me to give freedom, and freedom makes love real. If you love me without freedom, that is submission. If you are free without love, that is lostness. But when you are both free and loving, you reflect the essence of divinity, for you mirror the image of the one who made you. When you choose to love me amidst all other calls, you transform love into will and will into action. Love is not found in fleeting emotion. It is proven through the small decisions of each day, when you forgive though the pain remains, when you trust though nothing is visible, when you obey though reason resists, when you choose truth though it costs you loneliness. Each such choice lays a brick in the temple of faithfulness, where I delight to dwell. The Lord God says, whoever is faithful in little will be entrusted with much. Luke 1:6-10. For I do not seek souls that flare brightly for a moment, but souls that endure in every breath. My child, have you noticed that true love always walks hand in hand with unseen trust? When I told Abraham to leave his land without revealing where he would go, that was the trial of love. When I told Moses to return to Egypt, the place he once fled, that was the journey of trust. When I called Elijah to step out of the cave to hear the gentle whisper, that was the transition of faith. When my son Jesus climbed the hill of Golgotha, he was not compelled. He chose the cross. And in that freedom, love was perfected. Freedom without love is chaos. Love without freedom is captivity. But love, freely chosen, that is the flame that never dies. I see when you use your freedom to choose good, and the angels bow in reverence, for they understand when a fragile human made of dust living amid temptation still says yes to the divine will, it is living proof that love is stronger than fear. You may be weak, clumsy, fallen, but when you rise and choose me again, heaven rejoices. For in every renewed choice, my love is reflected, and darkness is defeated, not by thunder or lightning, but by a quiet decision. Do not underestimate small choices, my child. Sometimes a simple yes can alter destiny. When Mary said, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord," Luke 1:3-8, human history was rewritten. When Peter left his nets and followed the call, the mission of heaven began. When Paul knelt on the road to Damascus, the world was changed. And truly I tell you, there is also a yes of yours that heaven awaits. A yes that can open what was closed, revive what seemed forgotten, awaken what sleeps within your calling. Never despise the power of quiet faithfulness. My love does not come to suppress your will, but to resurrect it. I do not want you to bow only out of fear of punishment, but to lift your head because you know you are loved. When you follow me not for reward, but for faithfulness' sake, you are living in mature love, the love of those who walk as friends of God. And my child, I tell you, I do not seek servants, I seek friends. For only a friend can understand my heart. There are souls who think they love me, but they only love when I bless them, and they withdraw when trials come. They seek me in miracles, but abandon me in deserts. They sing when full, but complain when lacking. Yet I seek those who can say, "Lord, I still love you even in your silence." For that love is unmoved by circumstance. It stands firm through storms like a tree whose roots cling to dry ground. And when you reach that point, my love and yours become one, no longer divided between giver and receiver. Do not think that I delight in your suffering. No, I never rejoice to see you in pain. But I know there are things that can only be formed in the fire. Just as gold shines only when refined, faith becomes pure only when tested. Love deepens only when set between freedom and trial. That is why I do not remove from you the chance to choose, even knowing you might fall. For through those very falls you learn to rise not by the strength of fear, but by the power of love. When you understand this, you will no longer ask, "Why is God silent?" but will begin to say, "Thank you, Lord, for trusting me enough to let me choose." For only souls deeply loved are given the privilege of choice, and only souls that choose love are truly free. Remember, this freedom was never meant to take you far from me, but to help you know the worth of returning. Each time you come back, the love between us grows stronger. Each time you choose me, I give you more strength. Each time you remain faithful in loneliness, you become a witness of the kingdom. And one day when you look back, you will see that every choice, every tear, every yes and every no has been woven into a tapestry of grace, and at its center stands the image of the one who never stopped loving you. Therefore, use your freedom as a candle in the long night. Let it shine to guide you, not to burn you. Let it warm, not destroy. And when you stand at the crossroads of choice, remember, every choice made for love is one step closer to me. I do not see you by the number of your mistakes, but by the number of times you rise again. I do not count how many times you stumble. I count how many times you whisper, "Even so, I still love you." That is true freedom. That is the proof of faithfulness. That is the kind of love before which both heaven and hell must bow in awe, beloved child. There are seasons in life when the fire seems to rage to destroy, but in truth it is sent to purify. The world sees fire and trembles, but I see fire and recognize the opportunity for rebirth. Fire is the symbol of who I am, powerful yet gentle. the one who burns away what is temporary to reveal what is eternal. And today I want you to understand, when you walk through the fire of testing, you are not being punished. You are being refined to become more like me. From the beginning, when I appeared to Moses in the burning bush, the flame did not consume it, it sanctified it. For wherever my fire dwells, that place becomes holy. So it is with your soul. When the fire of trial surrounds you, you feel pain, fear, and the urge to flee. But remember, the fire I send is not to destroy you, but to consume all that stands between you and me. It burns away pride, self-reliance, fear, and the chains of the past. It purifies so that you may become transparent, so that my light may shine through you without distortion. When I allow you to enter the fire, it means I trust you. I do not hand battles to the weak. I place fire in the hands of those who can withstand the heat of glory. When you cry, "Lord, why must I endure so much?" know this, because I am preparing you for greater glory. A clay vessel is only called perfect after it has passed through the kiln. A soul only becomes radiant after it has endured the season of fire, where faith ceases to be words and becomes breath itself. My child, fire has two faces. It can destroy or it can refine. What determines which one it will be? Your posture within the fire. If you struggle against it, it will exhaust you. But if you stand still and trust, the fire becomes your teacher. For I do not permit any flame to burn beyond what you can bear. I know your limits, and I adjust the heat so it burns away only the old, not your essence. When you endure, you are not being diminished, you are being polished. Like gold, you lose no weight in the furnace, you only lose impurities. You ask, "Why, Lord, do you not quench the fire sooner?" Because I know that if the fire stops too soon, the rebirth will not be complete. A piece of gold only shines when it has gone through the full heat. Even my son Jesus had to walk through the furnace of the cross before glory was revealed. Without Golgotha, there would be no resurrection. Without the night, no dawn. Without fire, no pure light. So, my child, do not ask me to extinguish the fire. Ask me to keep you steadfast within it. In trial, there is a mystery the world cannot understand. The silence of mine amid the fire is not absence, but the deepest form of presence. When I am silent, it is because I am standing within the flame with you. I do not speak, for words are too small beside the power of what I am doing. Like a jeweler fixed on the furnace, saying nothing, never turning away, waiting for the exact moment when the gold reaches perfection, so do I watch your soul in the fire, waiting until my reflection appears within it. When I see my image in you, that is when I know you are ready for a new season of glory. I know there are times you want to give up. I know the pain lingers long enough to make you doubt my love. But remember, every trial has an end, yet its fruit is eternal. When you emerge from the fire, you will no longer be the same. What once frightened you will seem small. What once wounded you will become a scar of grace. You will look back and say, "I never walked alone." Your tears are not wasted. They are oil for the lamp of faith. Every drop of sorrow is a seed that will blossom in the harvest of the Spirit. Just as a seed must die to sprout, so must you let go of the old to receive the new. Loss is temporary. Transformation is everlasting. Remember, the fire cannot destroy what is true, it only removes what is false. Fire cannot consume true love, for that love is born of me, the holy flame. When I said in Isaiah 4:3-2, "When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, the flames will not consume you," that was not a poetic metaphor, it is eternal truth. My fire is unlike the fire of the world. The world's fire destroys, mine refines. The world's fire brings fear, mine gives strength. The world's fire leaves ashes, mine leaves light. You see, within every soul there is an untouched place where you hide fears, wounds, memories, and unforgiveness. And I, through love, lead you through the fire, not to punish, but to reach that place. I long to heal it, but before healing comes, it must be exposed to light. That is why you feel pain, not because I harm you, but because I am removing the arrow buried deep in your flesh. I cannot bandage what still holds poison. The trial is the process of drawing out that arrow, painful but necessary, and afterward you will breathe freely, healed, light, and free. Do not think that those whom I love will be spared from the fire. No, it is because I love them that they are chosen to walk through it. Abraham had to lay his son upon the altar. Job lost everything he owned. Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. His 3 friends were cast into the furnace. But what happened? They were not destroyed. They were proven. When you stand in the fire and are not consumed, the world will see and know there is one who is with you. The greatest wonder is this: the fire not only transforms you, it transforms everyone who sees you. When you emerge from the fire, your light will make others believe. They will say, "Surely God is with this person." You need not speak much. Your endurance itself is the most powerful testimony. Do not fear when I allow the fire to draw near. Remember, I never burn what I love, I refine it. Fire is not a sign of rejection. It is the seal of selection. I only forge the instruments I intend to use for great purposes. If you are in the fire, it is because I am preparing you for something greater. I have said, he who endures to the end will be saved. Matthew 2:4-1-3. Not merely saved from destruction, but saved into a life of power. For when you step out of the fire, you carry not only yourself, but my flame, a flame that will illuminate the lives of others. If today you find yourself in the furnace, do not panic. Stand firm. Close your eyes and say, "Lord, I believe you are here." When you speak these words, I will cause the fire not to harm you, but to become my own hand, the hand that forges a warrior, a messenger, a bearer of light, sent into the dark places others fear to tread. And one day when you look back, you will no longer call it the fire of destruction, but say, "It was the fire of love." For only love dares to let you walk through fire. Only love remains with you within it, and only love brings you forth reborn from the ashes. My beloved, when the refining fire has consumed the old layers, when everything that once made you proud has turned to dust, it is in that very moment, when you think it is the end, that I begin a new work within your soul. True transformation does not happen amid applause or radiant light. It begins in silence among ashes still warm from the fire. There I plant a new seed of life, one that no longer depends on your own strength but upon grace. You think you have lost everything, but in truth, you have only lost what cannot go with you into the next season of glory. Remember this: I do not rebuild upon old ground. I build upon land that has been purified. So when you see the familiar things collapsing, do not think I have turned away. I am only tearing down what was unstable to lay a new foundation, one of genuine faith, of love that has been proven, of trust, no longer shaken by emotion. Transformation is not just a change in how you see life, it is the reshaping of the soul. It reaches into the roots where every motive, every fear, every desire is cleansed by my holy fire. You once believed that if I was with you, life would be easy. But now you are learning that my presence does not always make things smooth, it makes you strong enough not to fall. Once you asked me to change your circumstances. Now you are learning to let circumstances change you. And there the true miracle is born, the miracle of spiritual maturity. For nothing is more glorious than a soul once broken, now bowing in peace and saying, "Lord, your will is enough." I know you have wept through the night, asking, "Why have you taken so much from me?" But hear this, my child. I never take without the intent to give something better. Loss is not the end. It is the doorway to what is deeper, truer, and eternal. Just as a grain of wheat must fall into the ground and die to bear much fruit, so must your soul pass through seasons of breaking to bring forth the fruit of grace. There is a secret of heaven. I want you to understand. Every rebirth follows a breaking. When you are broken, I can enter. When you are empty, I can fill you. When you have nothing left to lean on, then you discover that I alone am the foundation that cannot be shaken. The ashes you see are not a sign of failure, but of process where I have burned away all that was false to restore your truest self. There is a beauty found only in those who have walked through the fire, the beauty of wisdom and peace. They no longer tremble before the storm, for they know it cannot last forever. They no longer doubt when they see no light, for they have learned how to see in the dark. They no longer need proof to believe, for their faith rests not on sight, but on the memory of my faithfulness. And I desire you to become such a person, one whose every step testifies that faith is real. My child, transformation is not only in surviving the trial, but in who you become afterward. Look back. When you were wounded, you learned compassion. When you were betrayed, you learned forgiveness. When you lost, you discovered the worth of what cannot be bought with gold. Every scar became a doorway for light to enter. And when you behold the world with new eyes, eyes that have wept, endured, and understood, you will see that I never left you. You simply needed a fire to see my love more clearly. Do not fear when everything within you begins to change. Do not cling to the old self, the old titles, the old identities that once made you feel safe. I am expanding your soul to hold something greater. You cannot step into a new season with an old vessel, for new wine must be poured into new wineskins. Matthew 9:1-7. Therefore, if I am making you uncomfortable, it is only because I am enlarging the reach of grace within you. True transformation is not loud. It happens when you quietly choose forgiveness over bitterness, when you bless instead of curse, when you smile even while your heart bleeds. In those moments, heaven trembles with joy, for you have learned the language of the kingdom, the language of faith and love. You once thought strength meant never falling, but now you know true strength is falling, yet still believing. It is continuing to walk when nothing feels certain. It is loving even when no one loves you back. It is remaining faithful even while the fire still burns. When you live this way, you do not merely reflect me. You become my witness. Inner transformation does not come from long prayers or sacred rituals, but from deep surrender. When you say, Lord, I do not understand, but I trust you, that is when I work most powerfully. For faith is not the absence of doubt, but the choice to believe even while doubt still whispers. The moment you believe, when there is no reason left to believe, that is the summit of transformation. I know there are nights when you lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling empty, as if your soul has been drained of life. But my child, understand, this emptiness is the stage of rebirth. When a seed lies still in the soil, it seems dead, yet it is in that stillness that life begins. When all is quiet, know that I am planting. When nothing seems to move, know that I am working beneath the surface. And when the appointed time comes, the sprout of what I have sown will break through the ground and rise toward the light. My child, do not measure your worth by what you have lost, but by what is now blossoming within your spirit. If you look closely, you will see the change. You no longer react with fear, but with faith. No longer with resentment, but with gratitude. No longer with panic, but with peace. These are the signs of spiritual rebirth. I do not need you to be perfect. I need you to be honest. For only in truth can I breathe new life into you. I have declared, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 3:6-6. Do you hear, my child? I do not patch up the old heart. I give a new one, a heart more compassionate, more humble, softer yet stronger. It no longer beats out of fear, but out of love. And when you live by that heart, you will see that the fire has taken nothing from you. It has only returned you to yourself. Do not think your transformation is meaningless. Each time you are renewed, heaven stirs. The angels rejoice when a soul learns the lesson of surrender. And I, who began this good work for you, will be faithful to complete it. Nothing you endure is wasted. Every loss has a purpose, every tear is a seed, every wound becomes an opening for light. When you step out of the season of fire, you will no longer seek me by feeling but by knowing. You will no longer call me the distant Almighty but my Father who was with me in the fire. You will not only believe in miracles, you will become one. And when others ask, "How did you stand through it all?" you will say, "Because the fire did not come to kill me, but to give me birth again." That is true transformation, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Not through dazzling wonders, but through the silent fire. For that fire, though painful, carries love, and that love, though hidden, still lives. You have been reborn not by the power of this world, but by the strength of a love that cannot be extinguished. My beloved, when you have passed through the fire of trial and been reborn from the ashes, know this: the fire has not gone out. It still burns, not to destroy, but to illuminate. It becomes the flame of faith, a light not born of emotion, but of experience with me in the darkness. Now your faith is no longer fragile, no longer in need of signs or confirmations. It stands firm because it has survived the silence. You have learned that faith is not the feeling of believing, but the choice to keep believing when there is nothing left. My child, there comes a time in every soul's journey when faith ceases to be words and becomes breath. You no longer try to believe. Belief becomes your very life. Like a tree after the storm, its roots are not weakened, but driven deeper. So too with your soul. What you have endured has not diminished your faith, it has deepened it. Once you believed me because of miracles, now you believe me regardless. Once you prayed to escape, now you pray to endure. And that is true faith, not the faith that demands intervention, but the faith that recognizes God in suffering. My child, when you offer your very suffering as a prayer, all of heaven trembles. For this is the kind of prayer that needs no words, no sound, no language. It is written in tears, in silence, in broken breath, and I understand every beat of it. When you exhale in pain and whisper in your heart, "I still trust you," the angels record it, for it is the highest form of praise a soul can give. I have said those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. Psalm 1, 2, 6, 5. My child, not one of your tears is wasted. They are seeds in the garden of heaven. I counted them, gathered them into my cup, and turned them into a fragrance like incense before me. When you endure in faith, you are not praying only for yourself, you are interceding for all humanity. Every sigh you breathe becomes a prayer for those who do not yet know me. For the suffering of the righteous is never in vain. It carries redemptive power. My beloved, true faith is not forged in sunlight but in darkness. When light is hidden, you discover what you truly believe. When prayers seem unanswered, you learn to trust me for who I am, not for what I do. When I am silent, you find that faithfulness needs no reward. And their faith becomes an inner flame, steady, enduring, not loud or showy, but strong enough to melt chains and light the path for the lost. Some souls think that prayer means saying many words, but mature souls know that true prayer is sometimes simply being still in my presence. You do not need to persuade me, for I already know all things. I do not need your explanations. I desire your surrendered heart. There are prayers that only I can hear because they are not spoken by lips but by silent faith. When you keep walking, even when you cannot see the path, when you choose to love, though no one loves you back, when you choose to forgive, though your heart bleeds, each of these is a prayer written through action. My child, understand this: endurance is not defeat. It is the evidence of strength. The weak will complain, the strong will persist, but those who belong to me, those who truly love me, will turn endurance into worship. For when you still sing in the night, that is a heavenly song. When you still believe amid ruins, that is a miracle. When you still love in the face of betrayal, that is victory. You do not need to conquer darkness by your own might. You only need to keep the flame of faith burning within you, and the darkness will fade away. Remember, true faith does not promise to avoid the storm, it teaches you to speak to it. When you say, "Lord, I believe in the midst of fierce winds," that is when I grant you the authority to command the waves, "Be still." Those words are no longer of a trembling heart, but of one carrying divine authority. For faith is not only believing in me, but believing in me within you. I have placed in you the power to call forth what is unseen, as though it were to stand firm when the world collapses, to love even while wounded. True faith is not believing that everything will be good. It is believing that I remain good even when everything falls apart. It is a flame that no wind can extinguish, for it does not burn with the oil of emotion, but with the oil of revelation. When you realize that I am the one who never changes, you will no longer fear when the winds shift. You will know that the fire within you does not depend on circumstances, but is sustained by the very breath of the Spirit. When you learn to stand firm in the fire, you will become a torch for others. The light in you will guide lost souls. Those in pain will come to you and ask, "How can you be at peace in the storm?" And you will answer, "Because I have been through the fire, and it no longer burns me, it burns within me." That is when your faith becomes a living testimony, not a story told, but a truth that breathes. Faith was never meant for you to keep to yourself, it was meant to spread like fire. I did not give you light to hide it under a basket, but to set it upon a hill. Every time you speak of my faithfulness, the flame within you grows stronger. Every time you comfort another with the wounds you once carried, the fire spreads not through eloquent sermons, but through your very life. Do not be ashamed of your scars. They are not signs of failure, but marks of victory. They tell the story I walked through the fire and God was there. Every wound is a chapter in the book of witnesses I am writing through your life. One day, when you enter eternal glory, you will see multitudes of souls touched because you chose to stand instead of surrender. My beloved, true faith does not only make you rise, it transforms the atmosphere around you. When you carry this flame wherever you go, darkness must retreat, coldness must melt, death must bow. I do not only want you to be saved, I want you to become a torch that saves others. That is the purpose of your trials, not merely to make you stronger, but to make your light shine farther. Keep the flame of faith alive. Do not let the world quench it with doubt. Do not let fear dim its glow. When you see the flame weaken, feed it with my word. When you see the winds rise, shield it with prayer. When you grow weary, remember the flame within you is not yours alone, it is mine. I am the one who lit it, and I will keep it burning until the day you come home. Endurance is never in vain. Every day you choose to believe in a song. Every night you choose to pray is a testimony. Every tear you shed becomes a river that refreshes another soul. You do not merely survive the trial, you turn it into a holy offering. And when I look upon you, I see that flame shining brighter than ever, not a fire of destruction, but of proven love, of glorified faith, of a soul reborn. Do not fear when the storm rises again, for now you are the flame within the storm. You carry in you a light that cannot be put out, a faith that cannot be broken, and a love that never changes. Let your endurance declare He is still good. Let your life become a living prayer. And when all else falls silent, that flame will still sing the song of souls refined by divine love. My beloved child, after the consuming fire, after the days when you thought everything had ended, now comes the season of breath, the season when I, the Lord your God of resurrection, step into the ashes to call forth what was dead. I am not only the God of beginnings, I am the God of restoration. When I spoke, "Let there be light," the darkness vanished. And when I speak, "Let life return," even the deepest graves begin to tremble beneath the earth. My child, it is time for you to take a deep breath, not the breath of fear, but the breath of new life. For I, the Creator, am breathing once more into your soul. The things you thought were dead, your dreams, your hope, your faith, your love, are awakening under my breath. I know you have cried, given up, and believed that nothing could ever change. But my child, I work best in the graveyards of hope. I do not merely create from nothing, I resurrect from what has died. Look upon the barren fields of your heart. Perhaps there is no sign of life left, but my child, do not see with earthly eyes. Life does not begin with form, it begins with breath. I am walking across the dry ground within you, the places you believed beyond revival, and I am calling out, O dry bones, live again. Ezekiel 3:7-4. And as my word resounds, the wind of my spirit begins to blow, and every broken piece of you begins to come together once more. Do you remember, my child, when I stood before the tomb of Lazarus, the place of despair where the stench of death had already spread? They said, Lord, you are too late, but I am never late. I arrive at the appointed moment, the moment when faith is tested. When I called Lazarus, come forth, the dead man rose again. And today I am calling you not to rise from a physical tomb, but to step out of the grave of fear, disappointment, and doubt. I know there are things within you that have long fallen silent, a dream extinguished by rejection, a faith once burning that was wounded by waiting too long, a love once pure that now lies buried beneath betrayal's ashes. But I tell you, nothing that dies in me remains dead. For I am not only the beginning, I am the restorer. When I step in, death must retreat, not because it fears the light, but because my very presence is life itself. Where I draw near, your soul cannot remain in shadow. The places you thought were barren, I make into gardens. The memories you wish to forget, I turn into testimonies. The things that were broken, I bind together with the hands of grace. My child, resurrection is not merely a miracle of the past. It is an eternal principle at work within you. Just as spring follows winter and life follows death, I want you to know no ending is final. Everything I touch becomes new. I am doing something new even now, though you may not yet perceive it. For I am the one who can turn sorrow into glory and loss into beginnings. Look back, my child. Every time you thought you had fallen beyond repair, I was silently lifting you up. Every time you thought your strength was gone, I breathed into you again. Every time every door seemed closed, I opened a way where there was none. I did not let you die in despair. I allowed you to taste death so that you would know what true life feels like. Resurrection is not a single event. It is a process. It begins when you stop staring at the ashes and start looking toward the light. Ashes are not the end. They are proof that the fire has finished its work. Do not build your home on what has burned down. Use those ashes as the soil for new seeds. From the ground that has been scorched, flowers still bloom. I am the one who makes all things new, and nothing in your past is wasted. Every sorrow is recycled into grace. When I breathe my resurrection life into you, you are not merely revived, you are transformed. Like iron through fire becomes a blade, like a seed through the soil becomes a tree, like carbon under pressure becomes a diamond. You too are being transformed to bear my glory. What once made you fall will now make you stand. The wound that once weakened, you will now testify to my power. Look around you. Everything is changing, not because the world has changed, but because your eyes have been opened. You see life where there was ruin. You see opportunities where there was failure. You see love where there was loss. That is the sign that my breath is within you. For only the Holy Spirit can turn mourning into triumph. I did not raise you to return to what was, but to step into what is greater. Just as a butterfly cannot go back to being a caterpillar, you cannot live as before. You have been called out of the tomb not to remember, but to move forward. My child, leave behind the grave clothes of your past. Do not cling to what has died simply because you once loved it. Trust that I have prepared something more alive, more radiant, more enduring for you. You ask, how can I begin again when I have lost so much? And I say, begin with my breath within you. Every time you pray, I breathe into your spirit. Every time you sing, though your voice trembles, I rekindle the spark. Every time you forgive, a part of you comes back to life. Resurrection is not only an instant miracle, it is a rhythm, a choice, a heartbeat of faith. My child, do not seek signs of life outside you. Feel them within. When your heart grows tender again, when you begin to love again, when fear releases its hold and you allow me to lead, that is the sign that new life has begun. I do not need perfection to perform a miracle. I only need surrender so that I may breathe. For wherever my breath is, there is life, and wherever life is, there is a hope that never dies. I declare, behold, I make all things new. Revelation 2:1-5. My child, that word is being fulfilled in you today. The past no longer defines you. Failure no longer binds you. Pain no longer imprisons you. You are being restored to heaven's original design. You are not merely delivered from, you are restored into. Not just the person you once were, but the person of divine destiny you were always meant to become. My beloved child, I am placing within you a new breath, the breath of purpose. You have not been brought back to life merely to live for yourself, but to bring life where others have died. I am calling you to become a bearer of heaven's breath, one whose words, eyes, and actions awaken other souls to life. Because you have tasted death and resurrection, you understand the worth of every breath. You cherish life. You love others even in their frailty. And that is the true purpose of resurrection, that you might become a living source of life for a fading world. So do not fear when I send wind into your life. Do not fear when I call forth what you believed had ended. I am writing a new chapter, the chapter of resurrection. And when you open your heart to receive it, you will feel something you've never felt before. A deep, warm, sacred breath. It is my breath. It will not only make you live, but make you live abundantly. Live in grace. Live as a witness of the life that never fades. Breathe deeply, my child. Receive it. For the wind of resurrection is blowing through the chamber of your soul. The ashes are lifting. The light is breaking in. And I, the Eternal One, am speaking. My child, rise and live. My beloved, after the breath of life has touched you, after the lifeless parts within you have awakened, now is the time for me to begin my great work of rebuilding your life. Not a work of human effort made of stone, wood, or willpower, but a work of grace built by divine love and heavenly power. Understand, this rebuilding is not returning to what was, but being reshaped to reflect my glory. The broken places within you, your faith, your relationships, your dreams that seemed to fade away, were never meant to be buried, but to be recreated in my light. I do not merely patch up what was shattered. I transform it into a masterpiece. You thought the cracks were signs of failure, but in my hands the cracks become windows for light to shine through. I do not repair you to make you what you were. I rebuild you to make you like me. Remember, my child, I am the restorer of what has fallen. As Nehemiah rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem, I too am rebuilding the spiritual walls around your life. Every stone of faith, every brick of faithfulness, every layer of mortar made of love, all are being set in place. Not according to the old design, but according to the new blueprint of heaven. And you are not only being rebuilt, you are part of the great structure I am raising in this generation. You once asked, Lord, how can you use me when I am so broken? And I answered, it is because you are broken that I can use you. For a flawless vessel can only contain but a broken one, restored with the gold of grace, reflects light. Kintsugi, the Japanese art of mending pottery with gold, is heaven's metaphor for you. I do not erase the marks of your past. I fill them with glory. I know your heart has been disappointed, that you have trusted and been betrayed, tried and been forgotten. You see fragments and think there is nothing left of worth. But my child, I do not need perfection to begin. I need honesty. A broken and contrite heart is worth more to me than 1,000 flawless rituals. Where humility and surrender dwell, there grace has room to work. Remember, this grace is not built on strength, but on weakness. It does not rest on pride, but on trust. When you admit you cannot save yourself, I begin to save you. When you stop striving to become the person you think I want, I begin shaping you into the person I have destined you to be. Rebuilding does not begin when you do more, but when you surrender more. Grace does not come to hide sin, but to heal its consequences. It does not erase the past, but redefines it. When I rebuild your life, I do not remove the memories, I transform them into testimony. The sin you once wept over in shame becomes your song of victory. The days you thought were wasted become proof of my mercy. In the very place where you were weakest, I will show my greatest power. The rebuilding process is not easy. It takes time. Just as a broken tree needs new roots, your soul must root itself deeply in me. You cannot rush out before the work is complete. There are parts I must still tear down, so you may stand stronger. Do not be alarmed when I take more away. It is not destruction, it is refinement. I am removing every layer of pride, every old pattern, every limiting belief, so you may hold more light. You once thought restoration meant getting back what you lost. But in me, restoration means receiving what you never had before. When Job lost everything, he did not just receive double his possessions. His heart was renewed, and he saw me more clearly. Job 4:25, so shall it be for you. When I rebuild you, you will not be who you were. You will be a refined creation, forged through fire. My grace, my child, does not merely save you from collapse, it establishes you amid the ruins. When the world says, "It's impossible," I say, "Watch me do something new." When you see broken walls, I see the foundation of a new temple. When you see ashes, I see the raw material of glory. For I never let anything break in vain. Every fragment of you is in my hands, and these hands have never failed. Beloved, let me rebuild with love, not fear, for love is the true bond that holds all things together. As I rebuild you, each brick is laid with kindness. Each pillar stands on forgiveness. Each arch is bent with hope. This is the house of your soul, the dwelling place of my presence. And when others step into your life, they will feel the warmth of my spirit in every corner of who you are, in your eyes, your words, and in the way you love. My beloved child, triumph is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new life, a life shaped by my love, my grace, and my power. When you stand upon the ground where you once fell, yet this time you remain unshaken, that is triumph. When you dare to move forward, though your wounds are still tender, that is triumph. When you choose faithfulness in the smallest things, when you keep your heart pure in a broken world, that is triumph. Triumph does not come as a mighty wind that scatters everything, but as the soft light that rises after the storm. It does not roar, it endures. It does not shine in noise, but glows in peace. And you will know you are walking in triumph when you no longer feel the need to prove anything, because love has already proven everything. When you cease striving for reward and simply long to walk beside me, that is when you have already won. My child, I did not call you into triumph to glorify you, but to glorify myself through you. For it is within fragile, yet faithful souls that heaven's glory shines brightest. It is within hearts that have been broken, yet still love, that my kingdom expands. And it is through those who once fell but now bend low to lift others up that the world sees my face. You do not need to wear armor to prove your strength. Wear humility instead. You do not need to raise a sword to defend your faith. Raise your hands in prayer. For true strength is not found in the battle cry, but in the quiet heart that rests before me. When you allow me to fight for you, you will know what it means to triumph in peace. My beloved, you have walked through fire, through water, through the shadows, and you are still here. That alone is enough for heaven to sing. For your survival is not a coincidence. It is the evidence of my power. I have kept you not merely to let you live, but to make your life a living song of spiritual victory. From this moment forward, every breath you take is an offering of thanksgiving. Every step you take is a procession of glory. And now I speak. My child, rise and go forth. Walk in the triumph of grace. Live as one who has seen the glory of the Lord. For true triumph is not found in the shout of victory, but in the gentle whisper that says, I am still here and you are still mine. The triumph of the soul is never meant for you alone, for it spreads like the fragrance of incense in the holy sanctuary. When others draw near, they will sense the light of healing that flows from you. They will see not a display of strength, but the quiet beauty of one who has fallen yet not broken, who has been shattered yet not destroyed, who has wept yet still believed. And that is what makes you the living reflection of my love upon the earth. For I have spoken, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:3-1. Beloved, that is the very image of triumph, to rise from the ashes. The eagle does not fear the storm. It uses the storm to soar higher, and so will you, who have learned to live by grace, learn also to use adversity as the wind that carries you into glory. The triumph of the soul does not mean you will no longer cry, but that you will cry with faith. You will no longer fear your tears, for they water the seeds of your spiritual harvest. You will no longer fear solitude, for in the silence you will hear my voice more clearly. You will no longer fear rejection, for you know I have chosen you before the foundation of the world. The greatest mark of triumph, my child, is not a mighty conquest, but the return of joy, a joy not born of circumstance, but breathed by the Spirit, a joy that cannot be stolen because it springs not from the world, but from eternity. When you rediscover joy in the smallest things, a breath, a prayer, a sunrise, it is a sure sign that your soul has been restored. And now I say to you, do not be afraid of joy. After so much loss, you may fear happiness, afraid it might vanish once more. But the joy that comes from me is not fleeting, for it is rooted in the eternal. Let your heart open to receive it again. Let laughter return to your lips, for your laughter is the anthem of heaven's triumph. Walk now in this triumph, not to boast, but to bear witness that grace is stronger than sorrow. Let those who behold you see that your wounds have become gates of light, that the darkness which once surrounded you has become the backdrop for my glory. When you walk with gratitude, you do not merely move forward, you radiate light. The triumph of the soul is when you no longer need to prove your strength because you know that I am your strength. When you no longer seek revenge because you trust that justice belongs to me. When you no longer cling in fear because you know every good thing will come in its appointed time. When you no longer tremble because you know I will never leave you. When you understand these things, my beloved, you have truly overcome them. You have risen beyond the battles of the flesh to enter into the peace of the Spirit. You have not merely survived, you have become a living song of grace. Lift up your head, my child. Light is shining through the eyes that once wept. Heaven is opening the gates of triumph, and I who began the good work in you will bring it to completion in glory. My beloved child, when you have stepped out from the ashes, when the fire has refined you, and when the breath of resurrection has once more filled your soul, a new call begins to echo between heaven and earth. It is not a call to rest, but a summons from heaven to those who have walked through the flames and yet kept their hearts uncorrupted. This is the time of your sending. You have been healed not only to be comforted, but to become a bearer of healing. You have been forgiven not merely to be relieved, but to become a sower of grace. You have been lifted from the depths not simply to survive, but to draw others out of darkness. Every tear, every trial, every promise I have spoken over you has led to this purpose, that you might become light in the midst of the world. This calling is not for the souls still asleep, but for those who have known the power of resurrection, for only those who have died understand the worth of life, and only those who have been lost know how to lead the lost home. You are no longer destined to stand aside and merely watch the movement of my kingdom. You are destined to take part, to go forth to act. I have spoken. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:1-4. The light within you does not come from talent, position, or intellect, but from the Spirit that has been kindled inside you. And now I desire that this light no longer remain hidden. The world is not swallowed by darkness because darkness is strong, but because too many have kept their light to themselves. I am sending you not as a proud warrior, but as a lamp that carries warmth. Your mission is not to conquer, but to guide, not to condemn, but to restore, not to shine for recognition, but to shine so that others may see the way home. You are called not because you are perfect, but because you have learned the holy beauty of humility. This calling is not a reward, but a sacred trust. When I chose you, it was not because you had enough strength, but because I have enough power to work through you. You do not need to carry all the answers, only my presence. When you enter a place, remember that heaven enters with you. When you speak a word of love, it is I speaking through you. And when you lay your hands in prayer, it is my Spirit that reaches forth and touches that soul. Remember the path you have walked, the lonely nights, the moments when you almost gave up, the wounds you thought would never heal. None of it was in vain. They were the classrooms of grace, the sacred training ground where I formed you into the bearer of my message. For only those who have sat in darkness can speak of light with truth. You will not speak as one who theorizes, but as one who has witnessed. And that is what the world needs, living witnesses of my love. You are no longer merely a survivor. You are one who is sent. Do not look at yourself and say, I am not enough, for I am the enough. Do not look at your past and say, I have failed too greatly, for I have washed it all away. Do not look at your circumstances and say, I cannot, for I am the power within you. I do not call the perfect. I perfect the call. This is your hour. Just as Moses was sent, though he once fled, just as Isaiah cried, Here am I, send me, just as Jonah, though he ran, was still brought back, you too are being positioned by my hand once again. No mistake is too great to cancel my plan, no cycle too long to exhaust my grace. Everything in your life, even the detours you thought were wrong, has been woven into the path of return. When you hear my voice calling, do not delay. Do not wait until everything is perfect before stepping forward, for perfection comes as you walk, not before you begin. You do not need to know all things, you need only believe. Like Abraham, who stepped out not knowing where he was going, you too must walk in faith, and each step will be lit by my light. Do not fear when I send you into dark places, for light has value only in the presence of darkness. Do not fear when you feel alone, for in solitude the strength of the Spirit is revealed. Do not fear when the world misunderstands you, for your calling is not to be understood, it is to be fulfilled. And remember, every word you speak, every act you perform in love, carries an echo in heaven. I am placing in your hand the torch of the kingdom. Carry it. Shine it in the dark corners, in your work, in your family, in the hearts of others. Do not despise the small things, for no act of love is ever wasted. A smile, a prayer, a compassionate embrace, each is a spark of eternity. Your calling is not a burden, but an honor. Heaven has entrusted you with a share in the great plan of redemption, and as you walk in that calling, I will go before you, I will be beside you, and I will follow behind you. You will witness things you have never seen before, for I will work through hands that were once broken, through a voice that once trembled, through a heart that once bled, for now all these belong wholly to me. Believe that your life is no longer random. Every encounter, every word, every moment is orchestrated by the Spirit. When you walk, the angels walk with you. When you speak, the truth is confirmed. When you pray, heaven moves. For you no longer speak in your own name, you speak in mine. When you obey, blessings will follow, not first the blessings of the material, but the blessing of my presence. You will feel me nearer than ever before. I will speak through the wind, through dreams, through the eyes of those I send to you. You will see miracles unfold, not because you demand them, but because you live in the flow of my will. This is the beginning of a new mission, not a weight to carry, but the song of a resurrected soul. As you go, you do not merely bring light, you carry the very breath of heaven, and everywhere you set your foot will never be the same, for I go with you. My beloved child, now that you have answered heaven's call, now that you have stepped out from the safety of what was and into the land of divine commission, I want you to know this: you do not go as one unknown. You bear upon your forehead, upon your heart, and within your spirit the seal of the Most High. This seal is not a mark of the world, but the invisible radiance of the Spirit shining through you, causing the darkness to recognize and retreat. From the moment you said yes, something sacred took place. Heaven inscribed your name upon the new covenant. Your name was written not with ink, but with the blood of the Lamb, and his light surrounds you like a crown that cannot be erased. This seal is not only protection, it is authority. It speaks to every power of darkness. This one belongs to God, do not touch. You may not see it, but the spiritual realm knows. Every time you pray, the heavens open. Every time you praise, light flashes forth from you. Every time you forgive, unseen chains are broken. Every time you choose love in the midst of pain, heaven records it as a triumph of the Spirit. You are living not in one world, but in two, earth and heaven, and for that reason you must walk not in fear, but in power, aware of the mark I have placed within you. The heavenly seal is not a privilege to boast in, but a responsibility to reflect me. When you speak, speak with mercy. When you act, act with love. When you face injustice, do not respond with bitterness, but with the wisdom of the Spirit. For every word, every deed, every glance you give carries the weight of heaven. Dưới đây là bản dịch tiếng Anh trọn vẹn theo đúng phong cách thiêng liêng. Sâu trang trọng, liền mạch, không bị chia nhỏ câu và giữ nguyên tiết tấu cùng cảm xúc của nguyên bản. You are a letter from Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God. 2 Corinthians 3:3. Do you understand, my child? You are not merely a reader of the Scriptures. You are a living chapter of it. When others look at you, they are reading a portion of my love story. They will know me, not through sermons, but through the way you treat them. They will feel my presence not through arguments, but through the peace that shines from your eyes. The heavenly seal does not remove you from the battle. It defines you within it. It does not exempt you from trials. It turns every trial into testimony. For darkness never attacks the nameless, it strikes at those who carry the light. Do not be afraid of that. When you see storms rise around you, know that they only prove you are walking in the right direction. No enemy wastes arrows on the unworthy, and if the battle intensifies, remember that my covering increases all the more. My child, this seal sets you apart among the multitudes. But be careful, being chosen is not for exaltation, it is for commission. There are places only you can reach hearts, only you can touch prayers, only you can utter at the appointed hour. For I am not searching for the famous, I am searching for the faithful. As you walk in your calling, carry the posture of a servant, not a ruler. The seal upon you bears the mark of the Lamb, not a crown of pride. It reminds you that true glory is born from humility, that real strength flows from surrender, that victory comes through love that stoops low. You will touch hearts not through power, but through a heart that mirrors mine. Walk then as one who carries my presence. Wherever you go, bring peace. Wherever you dwell, let mercy be felt. When you speak, speak truth, yet always wrap it in grace. Remember, truth without love is a weapon, but love without truth is weakness. You are called to embody both as I do. The seal upon you is not only protection from evil, but a signal to heaven's armies. When you pray, angels are dispatched. When you weep, they surround you. When you fall, they lift you up. When you call upon my name, all of heaven moves. You may not see it, but in the unseen realms, every small act of faith from you brings forth great shifts. Keep your heart pure, my child, for the light of that seal shines brightest through a transparent soul. Do not let bitterness, pride, or fear dim it. When your faith feels weak, return not to the law but to love, for only love keeps the light alive. Your seal is not found in what you do, but in the one to whom you belong. Your commission is not temporary. It is not a mission for a season, but an eternal covenant. I have placed you in this generation to bear witness to my truth and my kindness. When the world breaks under ambition, you will be the reminder that love still exists. When faith fades, you will be the flame that still burns in the dark. When the world is filled with noise, you will be the whisper of life. I do not ask you to carry the whole world. I ask you to be the light in your corner, for even a small light is enough to drive away the night. Do not think your work is insignificant. Nothing done in love is ever small. Every soul you touch is an eternity redeemed. Every word you speak in grace is a seed planted in another heart, and when those seeds bloom, heaven smiles. I have declared, you are my servant. Through you I will be glorified. Isaiah 4:9-3. Do you hear it, my child? My glory will be seen through you. You need not strive to impress, just remain in me, and I will be revealed through you. As the moon does not shine by itself but reflects the sun's light, so all that is radiant in you comes from me. Live as one who bears the mark. Speak as one who has been sent. Love as one who has been loved to the end. Forgive as one who has been forgiven. Stand firm, not in your own strength, but in my name, the name above every name. And when the world looks upon you, they will see something reason cannot explain, peace that surpasses understanding, light that cannot be quenched, and a strength that is gentle yet unshakable. My beloved, when you carry the mark of heaven, when the light of the kingdom is engraved upon your soul, you are no longer merely saved. You are chosen. Chosen not to withdraw from the world, but to transform it. Chosen not to dwell in safety, but to step into the battleground of souls where darkness and light contend. And my child, the journey of the chosen is not the path of ease, but the road of glory hidden within trials. The world will not always understand you. There will be times when they call you strange, different, unpredictable. But I tell you, difference is the sign of the divine. You do not belong to the systems of man, for you were designed for things beyond them. Do not seek to fit into the old mold. You were born to break its limits. I have placed within you a fire that cannot be extinguished even when storms arise. That fire is not meant to destroy, but to illuminate, to warm, and to purify. I know there will be days when you feel lonely on this journey. You will feel as though you are walking against the current, while everyone else moves in the same direction. But remember, you are not alone. Every child of mine from the beginning of time until now has walked this same road. Abraham left his homeland without knowing where he was going. Joseph was cast into a pit before being placed in a palace. Moses fled from Egypt before being sent back as a deliverer. David wandered through the wilderness before ascending the throne. And my own son Jesus walked through the cross before the glory of resurrection came. There is no crown without the cross. Do not fear the narrow road, for it is that very road that leads to the vastness of the soul. Do not fear when few understand you, for that only means you are drawing nearer to your true purpose. When the darkness thickens around, you know that I am still walking ahead of you. My light may not always shine brilliantly, but it is always enough to show you the next step. When I chose you, I did not choose you because you were strong. I chose you to make you strong. I did not require perfection. I chose you in the midst of your flaws, so that through you the world may see that grace is greater than failure. Do not fear weakness, for it is in weakness that my power is made perfect. When you feel exhausted, remember this. My strength never arrives before you need it, but always right when you do. This journey is not a race, it is a transformation. I do not measure how fast you move, I measure how faithful you are. I do not count the distance you have covered, but the depth of love you carry. Every step taken in love is a step forward into eternity. Every act born of faith leaves a footprint in the heavens. My child, the chosen one, does not live for themselves alone. You are a letter written by me to the world, a small ray of light, shining into the hidden corners of other souls. When you pray for someone, you are not merely changing them, you are moving mountains in the spiritual realm. When you choose love instead of resentment, you are not merely soothing a heart, you are shaking the foundations of hell. When you forgive, you are not only freeing another, you are breaking your own chains from the grip of darkness. Do not forget the chosen, do not need to shout. Light is never loud, yet it transforms everything it touches. I do not need you to be prominent, I need you to be different, not different in appearance, but in spirit. When others worry you, remain at peace. When others fear you, stand firm. When others rage, you choose gentleness. These small unseen acts make you a living testimony of my kingdom. I know there will be times when you are opposed, misunderstood, even wounded for doing what is right. But do not retreat, my child. True light is always opposed by darkness. Do not let the voice of man drown out the voice of heaven. They may doubt you, but I know you. They may not recognize you, but I have sealed you. And one day, when all that is temporary passes away, eternal glory will reveal why you had to walk through every trial. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Revelation 2:1-0. My child, the true reward is not found in what you see, but in who you are becoming. You are becoming more like me each day, one who loves without reason, one who believes amid adversity, one who praises even through tears. That is the image of the chosen, not perfect, but sanctified. Your journey will have seasons. There will be seasons when you feel me near, and seasons when I seem silent. Seasons when you soar in faith, and seasons when you crawl in tears. But trust this, every season has its purpose in my design. No season is wasted, no tears forgotten, no effort overlooked. Every seed sown in faith will blossom in its appointed time. I did not call you to do what is easy, but to do what is eternal. You are sent to build what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. When you love, you lay a foundation. When you forgive, you place a stone. When you sacrifice, you raise a pillar. And when you persevere, I, the architect of eternity, build the holy city of my kingdom through your hands. Do not compare your journey with another's. Each chosen one has their own path, their own mission, their own appointed time. Walk in my rhythm. When I say wait, be patient. When I say go, obey. When I say rest, be still. And when I say fight, rise up. For I never send you without giving you the power to accomplish what I command. Power and love are the two wings of the chosen. Power without love becomes tyranny. Love without power becomes frailty. But when the two unite, you become a perfect instrument in my hands. Use power to lift the weak, not to dominate. Use love to heal, not to control. For the ultimate goal is not authority, but the restoration of souls. Let your life become a song of heaven. When you walk, walk in love. When you speak, speak the truth. When you are silent, rest in peace. And when you act, act with mercy. For everything you do in my name bears the mark of eternity. I speak to you, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. Zechariah 4:6. My child, this word is true for you today. You do not need to be strong, you only need to surrender. You do not need to know everything, you only need to trust that I do, and as you go, I will do the rest. My beloved child, the moment toward which heaven and earth have been moving is this glorious hour. Now everything you have walked through the fire of testing, the silence, the resurrection, the rebuilding, the triumph, and the commissioning, all converge into one point, the union of heaven and earth through your soul. You are the meeting place of two worlds, the place where my light touches darkness, where my word becomes action, where my will is done on earth as it is in heaven. Understand this, true glory is not the glory that can be seen, but the divine union between you and me. When your soul becomes one with my will, when your breath moves in harmony with the rhythm of heaven, when every word you speak reflects my love, that is the highest glory. For glory is not a moment, it is a state of my presence. There are times when I allow you to sense the nearness of the sacred realm, as though the veil between heaven and earth grows thin. It is when peace covers you for no reason, when prayer feels like a river of living water flowing through your soul, when your heart's song blends with the chorus of creation. That is heaven opening within you. And in each of those moments, my glory is revealed not in thunder or lightning, but in the stillness that carries power. I have promised that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. Habakkuk 2:1-4. You are part of that promise. Glory does not merely descend, it rises from within you. When you live in love, heaven becomes visible. When you forgive, my kingdom touches the world. When you offer me your faith, you become the gateway through which my light pours out. Glory is not a reward for faithfulness. It is the natural result of communion. The nearer you are to me, the more my glory radiates from you. There is no striving, no proving, only abiding in me, and I will shine through you. Like Moses descending from the mountain with a face radiant with light, unaware of it himself, so it will be with you. Those around you will see the light, even when you do not realize you are glowing. This is the mystery I long for you to grasp. Heaven is not merely a place you will go, it is a reality you are carrying within you. When I dwell in you and you walk by my Spirit, heaven begins to manifest where you stand. You do not have to wait for the last day to see my glory. It is alive in every moment of surrender. Each time you choose love over anger, faith over doubt, or prayer over despair, that is heaven touching earth. Do not forget, glory is not separated from suffering, it is born through it. Just as the grain of wheat must break to sprout, just as the night must pass for dawn to appear, so must your soul pass through seasons of stillness before it shines. But unlike before, you no longer fear the dark, for you know the light dwells within you. Even when the night surrounds you, heaven still burns bright in your soul. There comes a sacred point in every soul's journey, when prayer and life are no longer two separate things, because every breath becomes prayer. When you work for my glory. When you love in my name. When you rest in my peace. That is when earth and heaven move as one. And I desire for you to live in that oneness, no division between the holy and the ordinary, for everything done in love is holy. This moment is not yours alone. It is prophetic for a generation. I am calling forth a people who will not only speak of heaven, but bring heaven into every action. A generation that knows prayer is not only words, but a way of living. That worship is not only singing, but loving. That faith is not only waiting, but walking. You are part of that generation, the builders of unity between my will and the human heart. Do not seek glory, as the world does the glory of fame, power, or victory. True glory is when I am made known through your life. When a lost soul finds their way because of your words, that is glory. When a closed heart opens through your act of love, that is glory. When you forgive the one who wounded you, that is glory. For true glory is not found in splendor, but in love revealed in the darkest places. My child, let your heart become an altar. Let every moment of your life be an offering unto me. Do not think that glory belongs only to temples or sacred halls. Wherever you are, there I dwell. I abide in the room where you pray, in the merciful gaze you give another, in the silent sigh you hold to forgive, in the tear that falls for someone else. My glory is woven from the delicate threads of daily faithfulness. When I say you are the meeting point of heaven and earth, it means you carry both a great responsibility and a great honor. Responsibility because every word you speak, every thought you hold, every act you make, echoes in the spirit realm. Honor because you are a channel of heaven. Through you I love the world. Through you I forgive. Through you I touch the broken. And each time you say, Lord, use me, heaven expands a little more through your life. This is the hour of glory, not because everything is easy, but because everything is beginning to make sense. You are living in communion with the kingdom of heaven. Every breeze, every beam of light, every breath speaks to you of my presence. And every time you lift your eyes, I am there. Every time you close them, I remain. For the veil between heaven and earth has long been torn, and you are living in the very place where they meet. My beloved child, when heaven and earth have met within your soul, a sacred reality is now taking form, the reign of light. It is not a kingdom built by human hands, nor an empire of the world built on power, wealth, or fame, but a realm of life, of truth, and of love. And you, my child, are a citizen of that kingdom, not by name alone, but by breath, by thought, and by the beating of your heart. I am establishing a new reign, not in grand palaces, but in humble hearts. Not in shouts and noise, but in whispered prayers. Not by iron swords, but by words saturated with grace. My kingdom spreads not through outward force, but through the light that shines within. For when that light rises, the darkness retreats. My child, this kingdom is not something you wait for in the afterlife. It is already unfolding now through those who walk in the Spirit. When you choose love instead of hatred, forgiveness, instead of revenge, peace, instead of chaos, that is when the kingdom of God is revealed on earth. It does not come as a roaring wind, but as the dawn quietly tearing through the night. The kingdom of God does not come with observation, nor will they say, see here or see there, for indeed, the kingdom of God is within you. Luke 1, 7, 2, 0, 21. My child, this is the deep mystery. My kingdom is not outside of you, but within. It is not a destination to reach, but a reality to awaken. Each time you live in love, justice, and mercy, a fragment of heaven is unveiled. My child, the reign of light is not established through struggle or dominance, but through those who know how to bow. When the world exalts the strong, I honor the humble. When the world applauds the victor, I smile upon the one who keeps kindness even in defeat. When the world demands proof, I look for faithfulness of heart. For in my kingdom, beauty is not found on the surface, but in the reflection of the Spirit. I am raising up a new people, a people of light, not divided by nationality, color, or language, but united by one Spirit. They carry my fire in their eyes, my love in their hearts, and my word upon their lips. They need no throne, for their throne is service. They need no weapon, for truth itself is their sword. And you, beloved, are one of them, a warrior of light, a bearer of the kingdom wherever your feet shall go. I know you may feel small, insignificant in a vast world, but even the smallest light changes the atmosphere of a dark room. A single spark can ignite a fire. One faithful soul can alter the course of history. Do not underestimate the power of obedience. In my kingdom, no act done in love is ever wasted. Look around you. The world cries out in chaos, fear, and despair. But I say to you, do not fear the darkness, for it is merely a sign that the dawn is near. When the world is shaken, you will stand firm. When they argue, you will listen. When they despair, you will bring hope. Through these very acts, the reign of light is revealed. My child, this reign does not exist to dominate but to restore. It does not come to condemn but to redeem. It does not divide but heals. When you pray for your enemies, you open a door for light to enter where none have dared to go. When you lift the weak, you build a bridge for heaven to touch the earth. When you endure injustice with steadfastness, you are declaring the sovereignty of my kingdom upon this world. The reign of light has no borders, for it is not made of stone and mortar, but of hearts. Every soul renewed, every heart illumined, every prayer whispered, each expands the kingdom. And in this reign every citizen is sent forth. No one is merely an observer, all are bearers of light. The fire of this kingdom does not burn on earthly fuel. It burns on faith, gratitude, and unconditional love. When your faith grows dim, come close to me. When your light weakens, let me breathe upon it. When you are weary, remember, you are not the source. You are the lamp, and I am the oil. As long as you remain in me, your light will never go out. Let love become your law and truth your sword. Live righteously, not to prove yourself, but to reveal the nature of the kingdom to which you belong. Do not fear opposition, for nothing can stop what I have ordained. Every accusation, every barrier, every hardship is but the wind testing your roots. Yet the tree planted in light shall not fall. I have spoken. You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, my own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. 1 Peter 2:9. My child, that is your identity. You have been called out of darkness to become a bearer of light. You are not merely saved. You are an heir of the everlasting kingdom of light. And in this reign, every victory comes through love, not through argument, but through compassion, not through conquest, but through unity in the Spirit. My kingdom does not advance by force, but by persuasion of grace. It spreads not through noise, but through the living power of mercy. Each time you forgive, a portion of my kingdom is built. Each time you love, a measure of light is added. The reign of light is not only my story, it is ours. I am the king, and you are my child, my friend, my co-laborer. I rule with power, but I also reign through the willing hearts of my people. When you say yes, the kingdom expands. When you kneel in prayer, my throne is exalted. When you praise me amid trial, the light shines brighter. Know this, my beloved. My glory is spreading not from grand cathedrals, but from hearts that know how to love. And one day when this light fills the whole earth, when every soul knows me, when tears are no more, when darkness is swallowed entirely by dawn, then the reign of light will be complete. My beloved child, when all things are fulfilled, when my light has shone through your life, when you have walked through fire, yet kept your faith, then the crown of faithfulness awaits you before my glorious throne. It is not made of gold or adorned with fading jewels, but forged from your tears, your prayers, and your perseverance in days that seemed hopeless. It is woven from every moment you chose to stand, to trust, and to love, even when every reason to do so was gone. Faithfulness is the most precious jewel in my kingdom. It is not talent, position, or prominence that makes you great. It is a steadfast heart. When others walk away, you remain. When storms rise, you still kneel. When no one understands, you still choose to pray. When every door seems closed, you whisper, I believe God is still at work. Those words echo through heaven, and the hosts record them in the book of life with the ink of eternity. I have seen your tears in the dark, unseen by anyone else, but it was there that your crown began to be forged. Every time you choose forgiveness over resentment, I add a gem. Every time you choose prayer over complaint, I add a ray of light. Every time you remain faithful, even without understanding, I touch your crown with my own light. You do not see it, but I am working quietly, turning every trial into glory. Understand this. The crown is not given to those who start strong, but to those who finish faithful. Many run fast, but few reach the end. Some sing loudly in victory, but fall silent in trials. Yet you sing while tears fall. You pray when hope seems faint. You still stand when the world wants you to fall. That is what makes you more precious in my eyes than refined gold. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Revelation 2:1-0. My child, faithfulness is the proof of true love. Those who love only when it's easy have not understood love. Those who believe only when it's convenient have not known faith. When nothing remains but my promise, and you still choose to believe, that is when you touch my heart, and I, the faithful one, will never forget the faithful. On this journey there will be seasons when you think you are moving backward. But I tell you the truth, in my kingdom no step back is ever wasted. Sometimes I make you pause to heal. Sometimes I pull you away to prepare something better. Sometimes I let you lose something so you may learn to hold on to what is eternal. Each moment you think you're retreating, you're actually being drawn deeper into the palm of my hand. Your faithfulness is the fire that tests and refines the gold of your soul. When fire comes, it does not come to destroy, but to prove worth. Those with shallow faith melt in fear. Those with true faith shine brighter. You are such a one, the one whom fire cannot consume, but only illuminate. My child, your crown is not only for life to come, it is already shining now. Every word of encouragement you speak sends a spark of light into the spirit realm. Every time you stoop to help, your crown grows brighter. Every time you choose integrity over ease, its brilliance increases. That crown is not just a future reward, it is the living symbol of faith in motion. Look back over the years, the steps you've taken, the seasons you've endured, the wounds you've carried. I have used them all to teach you the lessons of the chosen. You have learned to believe without seeing, to love without being loved back, to serve without recognition, to forgive when wounded. These are the things that carve upon your forehead the seal of faithfulness that no angel can imitate. Do not forget, I do not ask you to be perfect. I ask you to be steadfast, for in steadfastness there is glory. When you keep walking, though you see no result, you shake heaven. When you pray in the night, the hosts record every breath as a hymn of praise. When you smile through the breaking, all heaven bows in reverence. I have said, those who sow in tears shall reap with joy. Psalm 1:2-6-5. My child, nothing you have sown is lost, it is only waiting for harvest. Your crown is made of those very seeds. When you reap, you will see every tear turned into a jewel, every prayer into light, every waiting into glory. Then you will know not a single moment of faithfulness was ever wasted. I know there were times you wanted to quit, days you looked to the sky and asked, Lord, have I not endured enough? And I heard you. But instead of answering right away, I stayed silent so you would learn that silence is also a lesson. Through silence you learned endurance, through endurance hope, and through hope a joy that no one can steal. You were never alone. I have been sitting beside you in the dark, waiting for you to realize I was there. The true reward is not in the throne, it is in the journey itself. For with every act of faithfulness you become more like me. You do not merely receive a crown, you are becoming the crown. My light reflects through you in every word, every glance, every act of love. And one day when I look at you, I will not only reward you, I will say, you do not just wear the crown, you are my crown. The glory I place upon my head before the nations. Do not let small things discourage you. Do not let delays make you doubt. Everything is moving in heaven's perfect rhythm. You may not see it, but angels are arranging it. You may not hear it, but victory's sound is already echoing in the spirit. Every act of love you offer, no matter how small, is building the throne of glory upon which you will stand. When that day comes, when the veil between the temporary and the eternal is lifted, when you step into the light that never fades, I myself will place the crown upon your head. Not with trumpets or ceremony, but with a gaze filled with a father's pride. I will say, you walked through the night and kept your lamp burning. You held your faith when others doubted. You were faithful when no one saw. Now enter into the joy of eternity, my child. That is the reward for souls who did not turn back, not because they were stronger, but because they loved deeper. Faithfulness is not born of willpower, but of love. It is love that keeps you standing when reason says leave. Love that keeps you kneeling when pride says rise. Love that keeps you believing when all you see is darkness. And because of that love you will be glorified in my kingdom. So, my beloved one, keep the flame of faithfulness burning until the very end. Do not let the world drain your heart, nor fear make you retreat. Keep loving, keep believing. Keep standing firm, because your crown is shining even now. And I, the faithful God, am waiting for you at the end of the journey, not merely to reward you, but to draw you into my embrace and say, "Welcome home, my faithful one." Thank you for listening to today's message. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so we can continue receiving the living word together, building unshakable faith and walking in the boundless love of God. Amen.